Hello there guys and welcome back to 100% Chelsea for my preview of the Burnley versus Chelsea game taking place on Sunday with the kickoff being at 1:30 obviously PM. Please excuse the headphones and the microphone. I'm just using it as a microphone because this room, I'm staying at my friend's house in Vienna and it's very echoey. I'm not sure if you can still hear the echoey bit with the microphone, but without it was just terrible. So please excuse that, won't happen again. But yeah, starting off with our opponent, Burnley, obviously. They are in 12th with 29 points. And the remarkable thing about, the whole situation is that 28 of their 29 points, they picked up at home. So 28 points at home, only one away. And those 28 points, that's out of 36 possible. So that's an insane record. And obviously with us playing them at their home, at Turf Moor, that's, it's definitely not an easy place to go. They did win, actually, their last 5 home games, which, makes it even more difficult. If you just look at the home table, just, games that teams played at home, Burnley are actually third, according to Antonio Conte. I didn't check it myself. Chelsea are top of that with 33 points. Spurs are second with 32 points. And Burnley are third with 28 points. So it's definitely and 100% not going to be an easy game. That's for sure. Obviously, Andre Gray is their, main man, their target man, their danger man. With 6 goals, he's currently their top scorer. I checked their recent games, and they tend to play a 4-4-2. Obviously, a lot of smaller teams have replicated our 3-4-3 formation when playing against us. Whether that will happen or not, again, I'm not so sure. There's no way of knowing, let's be honest. Talking about how Burnley play, Antonio Conte actually talked about it in his press conference, which I'm going to come to in more detail a little bit later on. Obviously he talked about expecting a very difficult game. Obviously their home record, which is incredible. Talked about Gray, who's a very good and very clever player who always looks out for that second ball and is always in a good position to, run in behind and all that kind of stuff. So obviously that's something we have to pay great attention to. Their standard game is a long ball and then playing for the second ball. And that is not an easy game to deal with. We all know that that's what smaller clubs in England do. And it's never easy to deal with. That's why the English league is, named the most competitive league and the most difficult to beat anyone. But, let's be honest, we should be able to deal with it. Now, talking about Antonio Conte's press conference, just by itself. First thing, and that is important to mention, there have been quotes during the week from Sky Italia about Antonio Conte speaking about Diego Costa, and that apparently, this whole he had to raise his voice to sort things out because there was an issue. What Conte and the guy always sitting next to him, I forgot his name at the press conferences, what they said, none of that is true. He didn't even say a word about Diego Costa in that interview with Sky from Italy. So, that's apparently wrong. Good to know. Obviously, I hate that when media outlets do, they just invent a story. It's just bullshit. Like, it kills your own reliability. It's just bad for yourself once it comes out. But, I guess it got clicks and sells and whatnot until Chelsea confirmed that it was bullshit. Antonio Conte said after what he talked about Burnley, that we are studying them very well. And it's definitely going to be a difficult game. But, we've beat pretty much everyone all season long since September. Only teams we lost to was Spurs, and the only other team who we didn't beat was Liverpool. So pretty much everyone else we beat, which is obviously good. Obviously we played can't speak today. We played Burnley very early on in the season, beat them 3-0 at home before switching to the 3-4-3 formation. Then he talked about, in his opinion, there still being 6 teams who can still win the Premier League, and if we do think and believe that we've already won it just because we're 9 points clear, that would be a great mistake, and it could lead to a dramatic change of the situation at the table and us not winning it. And he's completely right. I mean, if I'm honest, I very much doubt that teams like Man United, Man City and Arsenal will still be able to catch up to us because the gap is really big. But to Tottenham, 9 points is not that much. I don't think we'll lose it because I don't even think we'll lose 3 more games, let alone 3 more than them. But we can't think of it like it's done. Well, we as fans can, but not the team, not the manager. So I think that's a very good approach. Obviously, after the Arsenal game, most of you probably would have seen on social media, the manager gave himself and the players time off. for a few days. Conte went to Turin, watched the Juventus versus Inter game, according to him, just for, relaxing and not to scout anyone or look at any particular players. Courtois went to the Super Bowl, which obviously took place last Sunday in America. Luiz, for example, went to Paris, but obviously, after a couple of days rest, which is obviously good for them, because we had a busy period with the FA Cup, Liverpool, and now Arsenal, 2 big games as well. It was good to give them a few days off, and that's the advantage of not being in Europe. You can give them a few days off here and there, because you always have enough time to train. He talked about his substitutions because he was asked why he usually tends to take off Hazard. He said there's always a reason for his substitutions. Sometimes it's to preserve a player, sometimes it has tactical reasons, and sometimes it's just like against Arsenal when he took Hazard off, just to give him a round of applause for, to be appreciated by the fans individually for a very, very good performance. Like Antonio Conte said, not just on the ball, but also off the ball, which he was very happy with apparently. Which I think is, is obviously good. I mean, we all know that managers don't just make substitutions for fun, but it's always interesting to hear it actually from the manager's mouth, if you know what I'm saying. According to Antonio Conte, everyone is fit and available. Obviously, the last training session before the game isn't done yet, so there could still be injuries happening or something. But now everyone is fit and available. Also, David Luiz is, who, as we know, is playing with pain in his knee, small knee injury. But what Antonio Conte said is he's showing him that he is a warrior, and even with the pain in his knee, he's playing very, very well, which we all know. But just confirmed pretty much by the manager. What else he's been asked about was Frank Lampard returning to Chelsea. There's been different stories. I've heard that he's coming back to the coaching staff while making his coaching badges, which he's doing right now. And then just a few minutes ago, I read that we've offered him an ambassador role. I'm not sure whether while he's making his coaching badges, he's in the staff, part of the staff, and after that he's becoming an ambassador before becoming properly part of the coaching staff after finishing his badges. I'm not so sure about that, but what the main thing is that he's back. Conte said, he's a manager, not a manager, a legend at the club, and that's pretty much all that Antonio Conte said in the press conference. There were a lot of other talks, but nothing important, nothing worth mentioning. Talking about how we are going to approach the game, and I don't think will change a lot. I don't think we'll change anything, if I'm completely honest. I think the exact same team that started against Arsenal will start against Burnley. Of course, there is always this argument, yes, you should start Fabregas against a smaller team like Burnley. But like I said before, Burnley have got 28 points out of 36 at home. That is an incredible record. So I'm pretty sure it will stay the exact same. Courtois in goal, Gary Cahill as the left-sided centre-back, David Luiz in the middle, Cesar Spilicueta on the right, Victor Moses and Marcos Alonso being the 2 wing-backs, and then, next to N'Golo Kante, who is obviously a given. I'm pretty much sure, will be Nemanja Matic and not Cesc Fabregas. Even though I'd like to see Fabregas, I can just see Nemanja Matic playing because, he talked about the long balls, the second balls, and because Matic is tall, because Matic is strong and just better at intercepting the play, he's just better suited for that kind of game and for that kind of opposition. And then obviously, the attacking players will, I think, stay exactly the same as well with Hazard, Diego Costa and Pedro. Again, like I've been saying for weeks now in every preview, there is obviously the chance of Willian playing, but I think Pedro is in really good form right now, playing really well. And, when Willian played against Liverpool, he didn't do so well, in my opinion. So I can just see Pedro starting. Coming to a prediction, for the final result. Like I said earlier, we beat everyone but Spurs and Liverpool we drew since changing to a 3-4-3 formation. So, let's be honest, we'll probably win. I am going for a 2-0 victory. See, even though they do tend to score at home, and obviously they've been taking a lot of points at home, I think we'll be able to deal with their threats going forward because, not a lot of teams play the 3-4-3, and I'm not 100% sure if they can deal with it, and if they do replicate our formation to possibly perform better against us, it's even better for us because they're not used to playing the formation. But yeah, my prediction is a 2-0. Leave me all of your predictions down in the comment section below. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say. Again, sorry if the sound isn't perfect, and sorry for this here. It just looks a bit weird, doesn't it, on camera? But yeah, there's nothing really I could have done about it. Leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Leave me all of your thoughts on the game down in the comment section below. Predicted lineups, predicted, match predictions, and anything else you want to, just say. Just leave it down in the comments below. There will be this thing again. Let's put it here. where you can subscribe. Click it and you will be subscribed. We massively do appreciate that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Up to Chelsea. Can't wait for Sunday. And I'll see you next time.